if you know me and you know my story, you know that I grew up in the Mon Valley, so I came to environmental justice advocacy not through education or through expertise, but truly through necessity, right? Mine was a community, as others mentioned today and already, that has suffered from some of the worst air quality in the nation. We also have some of the highest rates. I don't know why we keep choosing this place, but here we are. But as you all know, Allegheny County, Western Pennsylvania, and specifically the Mon Valley, where I grew up, we suffer from some of the highest rates of asthma, particularly childhood asthma, as Councilwoman Strasburger said, cancer and respiratory illnesses, what some of us call environmental racism, where we see Black and brown and marginalized communities, poor communities, that are typically closer to the environmental hazards and the wrong. But what we know is that our communities, Western Pennsylvania and the Mon Valley, are not alone. Ours is a story that is interwoven with communities all over this country and indeed the global south of this world, where we see corporate polluters who sacrifice the health and the well-being of our neighbors and our community members, often for their own financial gain, for their own profit and benefit, for their selfishness that they put over our safety, and for CEOs' $million bonuses over millions of people's lives. Because of years of lobbying by big oil and gas, we face this climate crisis not just here but globally. It's fueled by pollution that's making extreme weather events more frequent and severe, with our communities paying the price. But thanks to years and years of tireless work and advocacy from you all, these people here, our leading advocates, and even now our youth, our activist community organizers and movement leaders, they have demanded that their government work towards bold climate action before it's too late. President Biden signed into law the biggest investment in climate and environmental justice in history. So let's start by talking about the Inflation Reduction Act's clean air provisions and what they'll mean for Western Pennsylvania, some of which we have already had a glimpse of. $3 billion will be invested to reduce air pollution, including $750 million benefiting communities like those in the 19 Pennsylvania counties that don't meet national air quality standards. The legislation also includes $3 billion in environmental justice block grants and another $3 billion for projects that reduce pollution and improve access to safe and affordable transportation. And that's just scratching the surface. But our work is not done. You sent me to Congress to fight for investments in our economic future for all of us in Western Pennsylvania. And as a member of the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, I'll be working to bring home funding for clean energy innovation, bring research dollars back to our institutions, break down barriers to Black, brown, and other marginalized communities and folks in STEM, and fuel clean energy manufacturing. I want to make it clear. The Inflation Reduction Act's investments to fight pollution in PA will not only help improve air quality and preserve a livable future for all of our children, it will lower energy costs for working families, protect us from the impacts of climate disaster, help Pittsburgh become the leader in clean energy innovation, and create thousands of good union jobs. The same investments that will clean our air will lower energy bills for Pennsylvania families by more than $340 per year. New grants to help state and local governments adopt new building energy codes will save the average new homeowner in Pennsylvania 13.5% on their annual energy bills. Rebates to cover more than 80% of the cost of whole home energy efficiency measures for low and moderate income families. Now that this law has been passed, we're laser focused on fighting to make sure Western Pennsylvania receives as much of that funding for grants, projects, and programs as possible, because our health, our economy, and our pocketbooks depend on it. That means we've all got to get the word out about it. Pennsylvania families and businesses need to know how they can benefit from these investments that will improve our air quality, lower those energy bills, spur Pennsylvania's clean energy economy, mitigate extreme weather events, and boost Pittsburgh's climate resiliency. And we need to keep the pressure up to make sure that these funds are doled out equitably and intentionally to right the wrongs of environmental racism, and to pass more big, bold bills to hold polluters accountable, combat the climate crisis, clean up our air and drinking water, and create good union jobs. Our communities deserve leaders who will fight back as hard as these organizers are fighting at home, these very leaders who live the impacts of this climate catastrophe and pollution every single day. So I want to remind my colleagues back in Washington, if your policies don't include environmental justice and address environmental racism, then you're not progressive and you're not working in the right direction. So if you're meeting with your lobbyists more than our young activists whose futures depend on this bold action, we're not leading. If you're for tax breaks for big oil, you're not for PA families paying for it in their energy bills every month. So every person deserves clean air, clean water, and a livable future. And if you're not in for that fight, then you need to get out of the way. We have more work to do, but I'm proud and I'm honored to be here and joining so many fierce advocates as we create that livable future for all of us. So thank you all so much for coming today, and thanks so much for the advocacy that led us here today.